Today we have the wonderful Debra De Liso. Do I have that? I'm pronouncing that correctly, right?
Yeah, De Liso.
De Liso.
It's Italiano. De Liso.
Italian. Okay, I wasn't sure if it was Spanish or Italian.
Yeah, but actually, I found out the De Lisos originally were from Spain.
Oh,
So
okay.
there's
Both.
Yeah,
Cool.
I go to Latin America a lot, so that whenever I see D, I'm like, oh, okay, Spanish.
Yeah. I say De Liso like De Niro. I like that matchup. Yeah.
So, Debra, you did the voice of Matriarch Raszagal in the Valkyrie in StarCraft, but I feel like I was telling Mark before this feels like getting Einstein on an interview than just talking about his work at the patent office, because you've done you've done acting, writing, directing, theater, you've done all these things, and
StarCraft was like 1 or 2 days recording.
It's so like, how do you? This is such a wide field. I hear of actors going into directing, but rarely do I see someone with such a breadth of stuff. How do you do this much?
Thank you. Gosh, thank you. So I think I like being busy, and I have for the last 3.5 decades been a teacher, and I didn't set out to be a teacher. I think I set out to be a dancer first, actually, and I was a gymnast too. I was, not in the Olympics or anything. I'm too tall. I'm only 5'6", but that's too tall, really, for gymnastics. But I studied dance in high school and college, and really found that my first love was acting. I love acting. And I've been very blessed with wonderful roles, but it's very challenging to make a living. I won't lie to you; it's really hard. And I'm a practical gal, and I was asked to teach at the LA County High School for the Arts, which is like Fame West. And I taught dance, fencing, and gymnastics, and that paid my bills. And in the meantime, I kept doing theater, acting when I could. I've done some horror films. I think you guys may have seen.
I did see that, yeah.
Weird. I was, in this movie called, at that time, Sleepless Night. They changed it to The Slumber Party Massacre. And it was written by Rita Mae Brown, who was a lesbian feminist novelist. And I had read some of her books and was like, oh, this woman is so talented. And it was directed by Amy Jones, who went on to be an amazing writer-director of many hits, and even still, she's a television. She's a star of television writing, and so I was in it, had a blast being in it. Made $40 a day, guys, on that movie.
Ooh.
Yeah. But I love being on a set. It's just like to be on a movie set is like a dream come true. So, and then the weird thing is I made that movie like 40 years ago, and it's a cult classic.
I was about to say, it's a horror classic. My friends all know about it who are into those kind of movies. So
it's wild. I make more money signing autographs on a weekend than I did for the 3 weeks of the shoot,
Wow.
So that's become a blessing. I think I was embarrassed by it at first because I was raised Catholic dad, Mormon mom. I'm not a practicing Catholic by any stretch of the imagination, but those belief systems sit in you, and
you still get that Catholic guilt.
The Catholic guilt, it's part of me. It's a part of me. But thank you. So the teaching, the theater directing, I would say the biggest maybe contribution that I've made is I have developed and directed over 700 original one-person plays.
Yes, I did see that. That's wow.
Isn't that weird?
That's insane.
Yeah, and I think it's because I feel like I'm a good director because I'm actually very a nosy person about human behavior. I'm so curious about why we do what we do, and I'm very curious about what stories shape your life and what you think about. What is your story, and who do you think you are? And sometimes when I get in the room with writers and they have a story that is haunting them, and they need to get it up and out of themselves, and then they can move past it and create new stories. So it's good work. I feel blessed by it.
So one thing on the teaching I did see on the site that kind of I wanted to get more on, and we'll get to the StarCraft, but this one, I saw that you did workshops for prisons, girls with disabilities, which is, first of all, it's very like that's very, as someone who's big into like prison reform, I love that. But can you talk about that at all? Because that's really cool.
Sure, I would love to talk about that. So a good friend of mine, his name is Zoot, and he worked in prisons for years, and he kept bugging me and going, Deb, you should work in the women's prison. Why don't you? And I was like, that's kind of scary for me. I don't want to be in a room with a bunch of criminals. It's like, I psyched myself out of it. And then finally, after about the third year of him really nudging me, I go, okay, I'll teach 8 Monday nights. I'll teach a dance class, 8 Monday nights. And I did something really smart and something really dumb. The first assignment was, I said, okay, let's sit in a circle. This was a medium security prison. It's still out there, out in a city called Norco, about 70, 80 miles east of Los Angeles. And it is in an old hotel called the Norconian Hotel, built in like 1929. And I taught in this creepy old ballroom. And, it could creep you out if you didn't have your wits about you. But I said, okay, let's sit in a circle. And I said, I'm going to start, and I would like you guys to become one of your own family members and just like be them. Because I wrote my first play about my mom, who, when I was only 5 and she was only 38, she had a massive stroke. She had a cerebral hemorrhage and a stroke, and she was paralyzed on her left side. So I grew up with a disabled mom. And so I played my mom, and then I played me with my daughter, with a little baby. And when I finished my 2 minutes of just like pantomiming, I looked around. I also heard them sniffling, and there were tears. And I was like, oh my God, they can't visit their kids.
Mm-hmm.
And I just played a mama holding her baby, and I get to go home to my daughter. And I just stayed quiet with it. And then I touched the person next to me, and they got up and they played their dad. And then the next person played, and then the next, and there were 15 inmate students. And afterwards I said, that was remarkable work. Look at you guys. On the first day, you're already creating stories with your bodies. And I said, I have to apologize because it dawned on me, guys, that some of you are mothers and you can't see your children. And they said, you know what? We had a minute of being with our family members here.
Mm.
And then I was like, okay, this is good work. So I did that. I got a California Arts Council grant 3 years in a row, and continued to do that work. So thank you for asking, because I think that's important. And I've worked with at-risk kids and playwrights with disabilities. And I have a new project I'll tell you guys about later, but I've been writing and rewriting a screenplay for over 10 years. And
oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. And I'm finally making it, guys. I've been raising money.
Awesome.
It's going to be directing my first feature film.
I mean, with 700 plays under your belt, yeah, I'm sure you have a lot of experience at this point.
I got a lot under my belt, but one of the characters is disabled. My character also has a stroke. And so it's like, I include the real world. I don't have like these pretty perfect looking fake people. I have all of us with our wonderful flaws, right?
That sounds, that sounds like it's going to be a very human story.
Yeah.
So, to take us back to 1998, so how did you get onto the StarCraft projects? I know a lot of the voice actors it's kind of someone knew someone, and then I know this really talented voice actor or actress. How did you get on the project?
It's such a wonderful little fluke. So I loved being a student. I have a bachelor's and a master's from Cal State Los Angeles in theater, because that's where I could afford to go. put myself through college waiting tables. Then I got an MFA at UCLA. And one of my friends there was a stage manager of a play where I played 5 different characters. And she was an assistant or Chris Masden's intern or something. And he goes, I need voice actors that can do different voices. I can't afford to pay one person for this and this. And she goes, Debra De Liso. And he goes, who? Debra De Liso. She does different voices. And I've also been in 2 improv companies, guys. I adore improv.
I love it. Yeah, I'm a big improv fan.
Isn't it so fun? It's so much fun. And so she called me, and then she said, "Would you have an interview with this guy Chris Masden? He's in like one of those little industrial units in Irvine, tiny little space, guys. Right before he became the brilliant Blizzard man."
Mhm.
And I said, "Sure, give him my number." So he called and he said, Tammy, I think was her name, has told me that you do different voices, and I would like to find someone to do the voice of Raszagal, the matriarch of the planet Protoss. And I don't want an American voice, but I don't want a British voice. I said, oh, you want like a mid-Atlantic standard, something in between? And he goes, what's that? And I said, well, it's not standard British. You can't pin it like it's British, and it's not flat American. It's somewhere in between. It's a little bit heightened. Mm-hmm. And he said, that's it. So my training, right? My acting training and my voice and dialect studies helped me, because I was able to help him find the sound, mid-Atlantic standard. And then the Valkyrie pilot, which of course we think the Valkyrie pilot as like the Valkyries, the Valhalla, all of that. But I can't remember how we got to this. But I think it was Wagner's Flight of the Valkyrie or something. And he said, she's a pilot. She's sassy and smart and courageous and sexy. And I think I came up with the German dialect, but it was kind of Russian. I think I tried studying a German dialect and getting it right. But it's like, once again, it's an in-between thing. It's her.
I was going to ask about the German, because I'm a lore guy. I run the StarCraft wiki. So the German actually had huge implications, because they made it, this is a ship from Earth. Earth has turned all their languages to English. Wait, the Valkyrie's speaking German. And there's been a bunch of theories as to why. So it's interesting you say that, I added that German in too, to kind of as a twist. So it ended up adding lore.
I hope I'm not lying. It's been so long, I don't exactly remember. But I think at the time, I do remember I was playing a Russian gymnast character for some sketch comedy. I did the I did the Comedy Store a couple of nights, and I played Natasha Checkout, and she was a Russian gymnast. And because I was a gymnast, and I did it with Pat Mulligan, and we had fun. And so I was thinking Russian, but I think that then maybe Chris and I decided German. But I was in the booth with another guy. There was so much playing around. I really loved it. I loved the playing around of this. But we came away with, bombs away, and who's your mummy? And what was that? Very interesting, but stupid. And that was from the Laugh-In TV show. So It was, they let me improvise. I tossed in a bunch of stuff. They had certain lines I needed to say because of the controls, but then we just played.
Yeah, and that's as a context for future, because the Valkyrie didn't get added in a later game, your voice has been constantly used by a lot of fan projects trying to remake the Valkyrie. So you've lived on in the modern day. That performance still lives on.
I'm so glad. Maybe it's like nobody can kind of peg what it is, so it's unique. Good.
Well, and with the accent you mentioned, the Mid-Atlantic, I'm like, I never even noticed. And then you said it, and it sounds perfectly like her. I'm like, oh wow, okay. You don't think of that kind of inflection.
Yeah, well, they distorted it a lot in the game.
Yes.
And I did get the game. I think, Mark, you sent me a bunch of great questions, and honestly, I didn't have time to go do the research. You guys are the experts on the game. But I do, yeah, I do. So I appreciate you guys filling in and answering questions for me. But I do remember that they distorted it. They gave me the game. I was not good enough to get to my character. That's the honest truth. I think my nephew showed me my character. But I loved the fact that she was almost Shakespearean in her heroism, and that that Raszagal ends up sacrificing herself, right?
Yeah.
To save her tribe. And that she is killed by a good guy who does not want her to suffer. So those are like the basic things I remember. And I had studied a lot of Greek plays, a lot of Shakespearean plays, and I studied at the Royal National Theatre in London one summer too, with Sir Ian McKellen was one of my teachers, guys. I studied with him. I studied with him. He was doing Richard III, and we got to have a workshop with him after a performance, and I'll never forget. He drank a whole bottle of wine by himself. Like, as he's sitting with us actors, it's like after the show, it doesn't matter. And he never slurred a word. I'm like, damn, that guy can hold his liquor. Yeah.
That's impressive. I mean, I've seen him. He looks like someone who can.
But so that was so good to be able to play a character that is this heightened female hero who is a leader, and yet her brain is being stolen from her, but her heart is bigger, right? Her heart is bigger, that she did not allow herself to become corrupted. So that was an honor. It was an honor to play that role.
And I was going to ask because, first off, turns out there's several Shakespearean people who were on the StarCraft project in terms of voices. That's pretty. And I was going to ask because the dynamic between Raszagal and the one who kills her, Zeratul, is a very knight and queen dynamic. So it's funny that kind of inadvertently got put in as a Shakespearean.
Yes.
Yeah.
Writing. Amazing writing. Yeah.
So, I guess on development, so you're kind of have a unique perspective because you came in on the expansion Brood War, which was a breakneck, like from first code to end to go on the shelf. It was 8 months. It was just sped out. Did you get to see any of the chaos behind the scenes on it, or were you kind of? No,
not really. No, I would watch a documentary about that though.
I would too.
Yeah, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Somebody should write about those days.
We're actually trying to hunt it down because the first game, everyone's talking like all the devs are like the glory days, we worked hard, and the Brood War is a black box. So we're part of this interview is hunting those, trying to find that information.
Oh, gotcha. Okay, very good, guys. I'm glad somebody's on that project.
Yeah. Going back to Chris Metzen. So I know when we talked to the main character, Jim Raynor's voice actor, he had a lot. How did he show you art of what he wanted? Because he used to do a lot of sketches of characters and be like, this is kind of the vibe I'm going for. Or was it more just, this is the style I'm looking for?
It was mostly just the style, and it was the characteristics of Raszagal and the Valkyrie pilot. I never got to see the sketches, but not until my nephew got me into the game, and I was like, oh wow, yeah, really, very, very imaginative, and Raszagal's character with these almost like dreads.
The nerve cord dreads. Yeah,
and then her kind of helmet and her eyes. She was quite interesting, and then the Valkyrie I thought was really sexy looking.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, and on Raszagal, so most of the game she spends under the control of another female antagonist, Kerrigan. I'm curious if knowing that going in, that impacted how you performed her, or did you try to play it more subtle until the moments where it's revealed? Or
so that's a great question. I actually think that really great drama has two forces that are equally strong, and so I didn't want to play her as vulnerable. And I wanted to play her clear-minded so that there was the contrast when she started losing her own powers. And she was 1,000 years old or something, right, guys?
Yep. One of the oldest Protoss, yeah.
Right.
Yep.
So how does a
Yeah.
human play that, right? And so I think I just I tried to, like I said before, use the depth and the experience of her voice along with her heart, which is like a tiger mom,
Yeah.
ultimately, right?
I like that. That's a good way
Yeah.
to describe it. Yeah.
Yeah, she's like a tiger mom. She's the matriarch, and it's not just one child, because I think she had a daughter, but it is her whole tribe, and it is her people. And I think she always wanted to get the Protoss reunited. So I think she knew that she had a place in history, and she wanted to be on the good side of that.
Yeah, for sure.
That's and ends up being the case, and that's a good answer. And yeah, we'll definitely that's one we'll get into the second section. But
yeah, she is definitely one of the coolest characters to StarCraft 1 for me personally, because like you can I don't know about you, Sub, but like even when I was a kid, I can tell. And I don't know if Debra, if you did this purposely or not, like you said before, but like I could tell kind of when she started getting a little bit like mind controlled a little bit, and I can tell as a kid that it was still her talking, but it was like an influence. StarCraft 2 has retconned it to be the Amon influence, where
that one wasn't Amon, but yeah, that it's a
sure, but
yeah.
It's the same concept. Subsourian. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
I love that. If there was a place where you started to seeing the cracks, that's fantastic.
Yeah, there was a moment where she doesn't blow up. She kind of raises her voice a little bit to Zeratul, and Zeratul's like, "This is not the Raszagal I knew."
Oh
yeah, in Countdown,
yes, exactly. She was starting to lose it.
Yeah.
Thank you. I remember in the booth, I had something like 7 pages, and it was literally monologue, and that's a lot.
It is.
That
Raszagal is one of the exposition dumpers in StarCraft 4 for sure.
Exactly.
Which, hey, that's fine. I love hearing her talk about it because you can tell she understood so much of the history.
Yes, to set it up. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. So I think that was Chris helping me find where she starts cracking.
Mm-hmm.
And then just sneaking it in. And as an actor, what you do, or what I do, I mean, everybody has their own way, is that I just kind of match it up to moments in my life, to feeling like, oh no, there's an impending loss coming at me, or I am totally in the dark now, or I'm really confused, or the real moments, the data files of our own lives is what we use to then get into the character's situation.
Yeah. I actually have one thing, and I know I'm going a little bit out of order, but I do have one thing to bring up, and I'm going to share my screen real quick. And I want to ask you what you think. Let me see if I can present.
And yeah, for context, I guess I should also ask. So did you know that like they remastered the original StarCraft with crisper sound and new graphics for everyone? So I
didn't even know this, guys. I didn't even know this. So I'll have to check it out. You guys are informing me about this.
Yeah, so Mark wanted to ask which one you prefer of the redesign.
So on the left here is Raszagal from the original Brood War. Now on the right here, they redesigned her to look a lot more similar to Vorazun, her daughter.
That's amazing. I love that design.
Yeah, what do you think?
I like the redo, guys. I like the redo. I think the other one is kind of like vague and almost ghost-like, right? The other one almost looks kind of ghosty, and this one is just like fierce.
There was only some controversy for slendering her up, but overall, I love the gem design, and it's very real.
Yeah, there's a lot of not controversy per se, but like there was a lot of times
Debates.
where, yeah, debates, and because they changed a lot of the different designs. I'm sorry,
Oh,
my
they
brain.
did.
Yeah.
Okay,
But
gotcha.
no, and that design, yeah,
Yeah.
I think it did
But that
capture.
I actually like the new design. Yeah,
Yeah.
I like the old one too, but the new one looks a bit more Protossy. And you're right, the other one looked a little ghostly. But
Well,
then
I
again,
think
I
you,
upscaled the frick out of that left image, so like you're only seeing it in a tiny little screen. So
yeah. Well, I'm going to have to check it out, guys. Thank you for that. I got a facelift. Yes, I didn't get one in real life.
just in the game, yeah. And
Got
Valkyrie got one too. So
that's so great. I love it.
Yeah.
No, I think it looks really cool. I commend the designers, but I also understand that when somebody grew up with something and they're so used to it, it's like I used to watch Saturday morning cartoons like every other kid in America, and then when they redid them, I was like, no, that's not right.
That's not how I remember. Yeah.
Mhm,
Yeah.
mhm.
So everyone has their nitpicks, but
Yeah.
so one last one on Brood War. I'm curious because you have a unique position. If you did a character which is more like a movie performance, you're just going to hear that once. There's a set scene, and you did a unit which requires the player has to hear that potentially hundreds of times in a match. I'm
Right.
curious if that impacted how you acted them in terms of like, delivery and lines.
Yes, I think being directed in the booth, they were telling me that these were going to be commands and repeated, and I said, okay, so what is this? When would a player use this? So I was asking what the action would be, so that I had a little like I could imagine a character using it, and I am not a gamer, guys. I know that's blasphemy for me.
Oh no! Also, this was from the early days of RTS, so no one really. Yeah, they were still trailblazing with that. So
that's right.
The fact that StarCraft got as big as it did, considering, it's interesting. Sorry.
So I think I asked some questions about how those quips would be used, and then we played around with it, and I still think I had a mix of German and Russian, and I think it was just that it was so much fun. I think honestly, it comes across, I hope, that she's a heck of a good time, right?
Very Top Gun and
yeah. And she likes a good fight, and she's she's sassy and sexy. So I hope those are the qualities that remained through all of her commands.
Yes, I think you did a very good job with that one, I will say.
And then I think I was winning like a horse. I was doing.
I remember that.
They got.
Did you do that?
Did
you do that, Winnie? Did
Huh?
you do that, Winnie? Or did you do the horse sound?
I think I did it, but I think they actually changed it. But I was thinking I was riffing off of Cloris Leachman in Young Frankenstein.
Yes.
StarCraft 1 had so many fucking references to different media, so that makes sense. Yeah.
But that's the kind of silly person that I am. I'm like, I can speak horse. You want me to speak horse? I'll speak horse for you. But I think that they may have changed it and added an actual horse sound.
Might have combined it. I don't know.
Yeah, or maybe.
Yeah, they did that with a few things.
Yes.
Yeah, Zerg, they did a bunch of sound effects from different animals, and they combined it with different actors and stuff, so it wouldn't surprise you at all.
Yeah.
And it's funny what you say about, I was actually talking with Mark before this on the German, and you said you mixed in some Russian. And I was convinced, like, no, it's a very East German accent. Like, they got that influence in there.
Right.
And now and now you're saying it's Russian. Like, oh, I got...
Thank you.
I'll
say that from now on. I knew exactly what I was doing.
Exactly, yeah.
The reason why I asked that, because I remember when Debra, I don't know if you remember this, but like when we originally interviewed years and years ago at this point, I had gone on Reddit and I asked, hey, do you guys have any questions for Debra? And one guy was like, "Why does she have a Russian accent and a German accent at the same time?" And I was like, "Is that true?" I didn't notice. I thought it was just German, but okay.
It was
I don't know my accent.
German, but I had just played the Russian gymnast. It was mostly German, but I think that my Natasha slipped in there a little bit.
I will say I've known German people with that exact accent. So
Oh.
you accidentally did it. If it was an accent, you did it correctly.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes. Well, most of us don't stay in one town our whole lives, right? We travel and we change.
Yeah.
Yep. We're all a mix of a lot of cultures. So.
Yes. Yes.
Did you give any feedback or thoughts on the development of your characters, mainly Raszagal? Like, did you give a opinion?
So there's a great question, Mark, because like when I start teaching a new semester, I will say, let's sit in a circle, guys, and let's share who we are and get to know each other, break the ice. And then I'll say, I have been a dancer, a teacher, director, and an actor. And they're like, well, what have you been in? And I'll brag and say, I played Agnes in Agnes of God at the Edinburgh Festival and got great reviews. And what else? And I'll mention like my great theatrical roles. And then I'll go, and I did the voice of Raszagal in StarCraft. And they're like, what? What? And then they're like,
that's what they love. I love it.
Are you kidding? Are you guys kidding me? Yeah. One day of work in the booth. And that is the thing. Honestly, guys, especially the USC guys, they're big gamer nerds. So that suddenly their teacher is on a platform now. So I thank Chris Masden for that, because that gives me street cred.
It does, yes. Because that game is still played. It's a classic of gaming.
Yeah. So I think the feedback that I get is that my students that kind of grew up with it are like, wow, she's been around, and then they'll make quotes of the character. It's like, it's unbelievable to me. So you guys are right. The fan base is far and wide, and so it still surprises me, but it's great.
Yeah. We're still going 20 some years later.
Yep, we're still going.
So Mark, I think, brought it up to you last time, but Raszagal got a lot of expansion after the games, mostly in a backwards-looking context in the books. Have you heard any more about like the books for Raszagal or short stories?
No, but I would love for you. Will you guys catch me up?
Yeah.
Is it mostly just talking?
Take it away, Sub.
So she's there's one book called Shadowhunters, which is done through flashbacks, and that shows how she led her people on kind of a Hebrewish exodus away from Ire after being exiled.
There's audiobooks of Shadowhunters is part of a trilogy of books called the Dark Templar Saga. Oh, okay. And there's audiobooks of them, and maybe I could just show you the audiobooks if you ever want to listen.
Yeah, and I also, I have Audible. If it's on there, I can just download. I've got a lot of credits.
Well worth it. Big shout out to Christy Golden, who is a fantastic writer, and I think
thank you. Okay, thank you guys.
And there's also a short story called Children of the Void, which I personally is one of my favorites because it's Raszagal's daughter, but it's dealing with the impact because she's kind of become a Gandhi, Martin Luther King figure of the society. She was the one that opened the doors and unified them, and it's the daughter dealing with living in the shadow of that. And also the guy who took over, who was a close friend, Mohan Dar, basically I'm going to be an intern between two great leaders. How do I cope with that? So I also recommend that one.
Oh yes, I surely will. Oh, thank you guys. Thank you.
Yeah. And Warzone, I think, also carries on the legacy of your performance very well.
Did you ever get contacted to do anything for StarCraft 2 or never?
No, I did audition for Tomb Raider. That was the only connection I had, and obviously they didn't choose me, but they got me in for another audition. But no, are you kidding me? I would love to work with them again at some point. So,
I ask because there's a lot of units in StarCraft 2 that dwarfs StarCraft 1's units, and we don't know like 90% of their voices. So, yeah.
And I'll send this to Mark so you can share, because actually there's a hint they might have reached out. They might have at some point wanted to. Can you share what I just sent you, Mark?
Yeah, let me share it. It'll take a minute though, because my internet is ass. So ask another question while I open it.
Yeah. Well, I'll set this one up at that. They actually had sketched out showing the scene where your like Praetor Knight Zeratul like kills Raszagal 4-2. So I was always wondering if you had been reached out, because they got into the sketching stage of this cinematic. Like they do really elaborate multi-million-dollar like cinematics for this.
Amazing. I would love to see that. Oh, fantastic.
But they sadly never got super far with it. And all we have is this art.
Oh, that is gorgeous, guys. Yes.
It's really gorgeous. It looks so cool.
I'd love to get a hold of that. That's gorgeous.
Yeah, I actually didn't know that this was a StarCraft 2 art. I thought it was just fan art. Actually,
I talked to the 3D artist and asked about that because it was an unknown until recently, and then they brought up like, we were planning this. So
that's gorgeous, guys. Would you send that to me? That would
I would love to.
Thank you. Isn't that something? That's just epic and gorgeous.
Yeah, it is very epic.
And also, Mark might not, I don't know if Mark brought it up, the Valkyrie also got a kind of sequel role called the Liberator.
Really?
It's a very different performance, very like a military officer attentive, but there's definitely inspiration from your performance.
Oh, great. That's great. Yes.
How do I stop the presentation? Here we go.
Oh, boy. I'm scattered around now. Oh, I know. I know. So you're also doing the project UED First Light. I don't know if you remember that one. They returned to the
right. So one of my USC students, Jalen Casal, who is an amazing voiceover artist. He was in my improv class, and then he took it a second time, and then he took my solo performance class and wrote his own one-person play. And he started working at a place called Bing, I think something in North Hollywood. And he started directing. Oh, he made my voiceover. Have you guys heard my reel?
We'll link it in the description, but yes, I did hear it.
He wrote it for me. Okay, my student wrote that for me because he knew of the different characters that I can play. And then he's the one that got me involved in that project. And I don't really remember too much about it, but Jalen Cassell is an amazing voiceover artist and director. So I would work with him anytime. But I think that had a whole bunch of actors in the cast, and I don't really remember the storyline too much. I probably played a mother.
You played Judicator at Aldrain. I'm actually on the reason I know is I'm on the writing team for that. So.
Oh my God! Oh, that's great.
Yes.
Okay.
And the lead dev Oracle actually specifically said you recommended Jalen Cassell. Jalen Cassell. Am I pronouncing that
Jalen Cassell.
Yeah. You recommended him to play a role named Graves, and that was a big hit. And thanks you again for that.
Excellent. Okay, that's great. Yeah.
But
so I love it, guys. Thank you. I want to say I appreciate the work. So, it wouldn't happen if we didn't have fans that know how to reach out to us and say, hey, here's something else for you to do.
Yeah. Oh, believe me, that any fan projects, especially with any kind of budget, we are very happy to get anyone, especially from the old game, because there's just some great performances that we would love to keep going.
That's great.
Oh yeah, man. All right, so we got about 20 more minutes with you. So let's try and shotgun a couple of these.
Yeah, and I think we've got most of them.
We did, yes. We did amazing, didn't we? Let's see. I'm actually shocked how good we did today, considering my massive migraine that I have. So.
Oh damn! I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's all right. I didn't want to cancel, so
yeah. Well, you've answered all these very eloquently, so we appreciate that too.
Awesome.
Good.
Yeah.
Well, I do want to talk about my own project if we have time.
Yes.
Go ahead.
This would be a perfect time to do it. Yep.
Okay,
ahead.
excellent. So, and I can give you guys the movie website if we can put anything up here, because
We can definitely put it in. Yeah.
okay, excellent. So so we're talking about a new title right now. I've been working. The working title has been Small Town, but we might call it Showdown at Small Town, which I think maybe grabs people a little bit more. But it takes
Old West vibes.
Yeah, great. It takes place in 1968 in a small desert town somewhere between Barstow and Las Vegas. I'm really just drawn to like the desert vibe and the high desert. And I am playing an aging alcoholic stripper named Lorraine.
Oh my.
Yes.
Oh
Yes.
my.
So like the teacher is breaking out. The teacher is going, I'm going to act and I'm going to play not a teacher. But I'm also a mother in real life, right? And my daughter is an amazing, I'm not just a bragging mom, but she's an amazing actor and singer. And so my character, I started writing this when Zan was a teenager and was having a rough time and ran away from home. I think I just started writing a project just to keep her around for something for us to work on. And a lot of the characters were in my little acting company. And what happens at the beginning of the movie is that Lorraine comes to work at Madame Wu's cantina and her daughter is on stage starting to take her clothes off. And she grabs her by the hair and she's like, what the hell are you doing on this stage? I've been keeping you off this stage your whole life. And she's like, I'm just making enough money to get out of town and away from you. They start wrestling out into the highway, and the highway church people are right across the street from Madame Wu's cantina. And they come out and gawk.
Yeah.
And then Lexi, my daughter, we wrestle, try strangling each other. It's kind of like Raising Arizona, if you've ever seen.
I love that movie.
Oh, I'm so glad. This is in the vein of Raising Arizona,
Yes.
guys. It's a female-driven Raising Arizona. That's what this is. And
So cool.
she betrays me by walking into the arms of the preacher.
Oh my. Yeah.
And
Very classic. Yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
right. And so then the next day, the Sheriff Jack, who is kind of sweet on my character, says that the church people got a new city ordinance, no stripping, no alcohol on this stretch of the highway, and we got to shut down. And my character, my daughter's gone. What's my livelihood? I finally sober up and have a lucid dream that we turn Madame Wu's cantina into a legit theater with all the wacky people of town. And it's kind of like the Full Monty, if you ever saw that.
Yes.
And so it's 1 week of ridiculous shenanigans and rehearsals and auditions. And at the end of the week, it's high noon and we have to put on a show, but there's no real audience. Most of the people in town are in the show. And the sheriff arrests a group of hallucinating hippies to come be our audience. And they watch this incredible and wacky show, and it brings the town together. And my daughter, I finally see, and she helps. Oh, that's right, because my character has a stroke. My character has a mini stroke. And then, of course, I can't do everything I wanted to do. So my daughter comes back, takes over the show, and it turns out inspirationally ridiculous. And then I see that she's ready to go out in the world and start her own life, and she gets on the bus the next day. So that's Showdown at Small Town.
That sounds very lovely. I like and it's easy to appeal. I don't know if you know the other side of StarCraft being an old west kind of deserty vibe. Easy to appeal to that crowd. So
Excellent. Okay. All right,
yeah,
StarCrafters. Okay, great.
Yep. You can get it. You can appeal it to them.
Okay, thank you so much for that. And I'll give you the movie website where you can learn a lot more and contribute, because it's definitely an indie project.
Yes.
And if how do we do that, guys? Do I just spell it out for you, the movie website now?
Send it to me or Mark, and we'll just link it to. We'll put it in the description and link it.
I'm going to put it
this is going to go on YouTube. These are still the early interviews, and we're still getting them edited. So
Yay! Okay, great, guys. Yeah, so I'm having a blast with that, as you can
Yeah.
imagine. And
Yeah, sounds fun.
So is it?
You-
It's in the early
Deborah,
stages, or
it's indie,
Deborah,
but
we're
actors.
friends
Yes.
on Facebook, so you have a way to contact me. So I want you
Yes.
to do a favor, and I want you to tell me so I can tell Sub, so the two of us can watch the movie.
Okay,
And
perfect.
yes,
we might even have you on again just to talk about the movie once it's out.
Oh my God, I would
Yeah,
love that. That's really what we need. That's
I-
what we need. Yes.
that kind of movie hit. I'm going to be a father in 2 months, so that movie hits pretty hard.
Hell yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Well, it really is at its core a mother-daughter movie, but it's also
Still, there's the dynamic, yeah.
well, yes. But you know what? It's a microcosm for what's going on in our country right now, right? Ain't the truth? The divisions, people don't want to listen to each other. Like, I'm right. I don't want to hear your side. And this is, it's kind of like the Madame Wu Cantina barflies are like the liberals, and the Highway Church people are the conservatives. Although everything is so crazy anymore. I don't know what conservatives.
Not the politics. No.
I'm sorry, we're not going to talk politics. It's too depressing, isn't it?
Yes,
But
It is. Yes.
Yeah, but this is a feel-good movie. The point
That's
is,
good.
you
Good.
can watch this and laugh and care and not have to, take sides, because it's about, I love Maya Angelou's quote, "We are more alike, my friends, than we are not alike." And that's the damn truth. If you actually have a conversation with somebody. So
Hell yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So thank you guys. Thanks for letting me do my pitch.
Oh, no problem at all. Yeah,
no
this is
problem.
exciting.
I'm going to do one last little share real quick. This is a little off the cuff, but I wanted to show you because I don't remember if I showed you last time we called. So let me show you this. This is Raszagal's daughter, Vorzin.
Oh.
And I just wanted to show you her. She looks a lot similar to how her remastered look is.
Yeah,
and
they based a lot off the old design, and a lot of her arc is dealing with the loss of her mother, and there's a very mother-daughter dynamic of living in that shadow.
Yeah.
I love this. These are gorgeous designs. I love her purples, and the purple and actually I have to tell you guys, purple and green is my favorite color combination. There's something about the integration of those two colors
that's the colors of Raszagal's tribes. So.
Yep, that's the Dark Templar Nerazim colors. Yep.
Yeah, it's amazing. Now, what does she have on her shoulder?
So
that is a Hydralisk skull.
In the course of the first game, because she's kind of got more, her mother's a more subdued. Raszagal's kind of has moments of outbursts, but is more reserved, and she's a more fiery, like passionate. So she went to the front lines during the events of the game where Raszagal's in to fight, and so that's one of her, basically her prey. Yeah.
You go like this.
Yeah.
And like have it come out from behind her or something.
She has, she has a double scythe. So she's more of a warrior too. Her mother's more, and she has to deal with the weight of, why can't you be like she's very hot-headed and fiery? Why can't you be like your very cool-headed, calm mother who led us for 1,000 years, or more like 500? But still.
Thank you. That's a great. So I'll have to go. You guys will send me those. Those
definitely
drawings. Those would be gorgeous.
Yeah, and unless you got anything else, we'll wrap up with the final question, right?
Are you sure we're done already? Oh my gosh!
Is there anything else? I threw the list.
Yeah, I don't fucking know, man.
Let me look. I wrote a few notes. I think you guys have gone through.
Yeah, I think we got right. How did it? So at the time, Raszagal was the. I swear, Subsourian. If you tell me it's not this, I'm gonna be so mad. You're like the first canonical female Protoss.
Sorta. The first one in a main game that gets a little weird because they have.
Is that right?
Yes, you are the first. Yep.
Insurrection doesn't count because it's not canon. Subsourian.
It's semi-canon. But you are the first female. Actually, there was even a debate at the time because no one knew whether Protoss were like one gender or like no gender at all. And then you came in like, oh, okay, you're our first true female Protoss.
The
that was
8 months between the original and Brood War. Yes.
Yeah. So you are kind of a trailblazer in that, especially because you did.
That's
Brood
amazing,
War.
guys.
Yeah.
Well, I think one of my first lines was, "I am Raszagal, the matriarch of the planet Protoss."
Planet.
So matriarch.
It's Shakuris, but yes.
So
she is a Protoss, I believe.
That's
brain hurts.
That's quite interesting though, because she didn't. It wasn't like there was this family with the dad there, right?
Yeah. There's a debate on who the dad is, and that's
some people say it's Zeratul. Some
it's
people say it's I don't think so either. Some people say it's Mohandar. I honestly don't care. I think it's just cool to have a mother and a daughter.
Yeah.
You know, it's not important, but yeah.
I'll never tell.
Exactly.
Yes. And make sure it doesn't give her secrets away easily. So
yes.
All right. Well, yeah. In that case, we should totally just do the final question.
And we usually do a final question. You have the honor of being both a Protoss and a Terran in StarCraft. So what is your favorite race of the three?
Ooh. Well, I feel like her cause was to bring the Protoss back together.
Mm-hmm.
But I think I would have to study the Terran a little bit more to decide exactly where my loyalties lie.
Okay, good answer. I like that one a lot. Especially because the Valkyrie gets complicated in terms of loyalty.
It does, yes. I was going to say one thing. You mentioned earlier that you talked to reform prisons and things like that. I was actually going to bring this up, and Subsourian can clarify because he knows way more than me. But like, Terrans are actually prisoners that were shipped from Earth a couple hundred years before the events of StarCraft.
And a big vibe of the games is very much that old West cowboys and bandits and prisoners and so.
Yeah, so that's fascinating.
Yeah,
that's like the Aussies, right? The Aussies, remember?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
where the Aussies. Well, of course, there were the Aboriginals first, and then the Aussies, the white Aussies from the UK, were put there they were colonized prisoners.
Yes, the comparison has been Space Australia. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Mad Maxian.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right.
Cool. Well, thank you so much. This was very informative, and it is an honor to get to talk to you. As a huge fan, I've been hearing your voice since 8 years old, so it's great to.
I've been hearing your voice since 1 year old.
Thanks so much. Thanks for not forgetting about me, Mark.
Oh yeah.
All this time, and so to be with you both. Yep. And let's stay in touch, guys. Maybe there's future work. Maybe there's a documentary or another
definitely.
Or,
Oh, there's still plenty of projects. I can tell you that much. So I would be honored to have old StarCraft alum.
Excellent.
Yeah.